21 pounds of boost. Okay, hit it. A little bit on these tires. This is high boost. I'm going to share with you my streetcar secrets on how I make the power that I do with this car. I don't really know where to start because I've done so much. It's a 2JZ with a built bottom end, 9:1 compression. It's got Kelford 272 269 cams, a ported cylinder head, Hypertune intake, and then I've got ID 1300 fuel injectors. 6870 precision dual ball bearing turbo with a 132 exhaust AR housing, a 5-inch intake pipe, 4-inch turbo back exhaust, a fast spool valve of my own design. I'll show you some pictures here of a spool valve that I designed, and I incorporated it into the tubular manifold. And this spool valve is friendly with launch control, and I have used it on launch control setups just like this. For the spool valve setup, I have a canister in this fender well that collects boost pressure through a one-way check valve, and it holds that pressure there. So when I'm under boost, just kind of cruising around doing whatever, and I'm just kind of playing with it, it fills that canister with boost pressure and it holds it there. And then it's got a line coming out of that canister and it goes up to a boost controller style solenoid, and that goes to the actuator pot that opens up the spool valve. The reason I did that is it does not need to close the quick spool valve between gears. When the turbo is already spooled up and spinning at the RPM it needs to spin at when I grab the next gear. I want that spool valve wide open between gears. For the clutch setup, this car has an Exetti triple disc carbon clutch. It came with the car when I bought it, and I actually bought another triple carbon clutch because I very much like the way this clutch feels. It's got a nice light pedal feel, so it feels like factory, and you can slip the clutch in and the car drives just like a factory OE clutch. It has one water methanol kit and one pure methanol kit. So with the Aquamist water methanol system, you have like an injector. This is a really old system. It's probably one of the first Aquamist systems. It's got a injector here, or what they call an injector. It's just a pulse width modulated solenoid that regulates the amount of water methanol that comes through the solenoid, and then that's the volume sensor that senses flow of the water methanol, and then it flows down into the jets. I've got two Aquamist jets, 1.0 and 1.0. That's my primary water methanol feed to cool off the air charge that's coming into the Hypertune intake. So I'm running 0.5 Aquamist meth jets for my pure methanol, and I have set it up like a fuel system. So I'm going to show you right here is a pressure sensor, and that's coming off the end of the rail, the 6-port relay, and this is the pulse width modulated solenoid that is connected directly to the engine computer, which is an Mtron ECU. And then the fuel line runs this way and it comes up to a fuel pressure regulator, and I am pulling pressure. I don't remember which side it is now, but I've got pressure going in one side, and then I've got a return line going back to the methanol tank at the back of the car. So that sensor there goes to a gauge so that I can see it on the dash that my methanol system is working. It is also connected to the Mtron ECU, and the Mtron also sees that pressure signal, and it's just to verify to the Mtron that the methanol is on. At the back of the car, I've got two tanks. I've got my water methanol tank with my Aquamist water meth pump. And I've got my pure methanol tank, which you can see the level in this one. I went with a clear tank on this one. This one was already in the car when I bought the car, but I built this system, and I've got a clear tank, and you can see the level, but I did I did wire in a fuel gauge for it so I can see it at the front of the car. Not that I ever need to look at it because I never run out of methanol. It only ever comes on when I'm on high boost, and I very rarely actually use high boost. I only use it in situations where I'm racing some kind of bike or whatever at the racetrack or in Mexico. The fuel pump I used was a 400 liter per hour Walbro fuel pump that's designed for pushing ethanol fuel. So I thought it would work perfect to push pure methanol. And I've been running it in the car like this for well over 5 years, and I haven't had any issues with that fuel pump delivering the methanol that the car needs. So this is the supply line here. It comes out of the pump and it goes to the front of the car to the regulator, and this is the return line that comes back. And I chose to do it that way. That way I get a consistent 100 psi of which is the max pump pressure before its little regulator spring pops, and then it bleeds internally. It seems that fuel pumps have that. Then the reason I know that is because I tested it. I bench tested to see how much pressure I could run. Meth pump pressure test. We'll see what we're at. It's like about 80 to 85 psi. Fuel pump pressure test with methanol injection system. Holding about 100 psi, and it's spraying a lot more volume. And 100 psi seemed to be the max. And then this little poppet spring would pop and it would bleed fuel internally, or bleed it out of the fuel pump and into the tank that it's in. My fuel pressure regulator at the front of the car is boost reference. And I don't remember what pressure I set it at. It's probably at like 60 pounds, and then it ramps to 100 as I approach 35 pounds of boost. So it does ramp in pressure. And then that solenoid on the rail there modulates how much methanol the car gets. And it was tuned on the dyno by Cam at Lightspeed. Lightspeed Innovations in Red Deer, Alberta. The reason I chose to build the car this way is because I primarily drive this thing on the street and we go on long cruises with it, and I always wanted the power on tap. Jesus. Did I forget to mention the 50mm wastegate that's breathing through a screamer pipe? If you're like a racer type guy that's going to the drag strip every weekend, and you're kind of a weekend warrior with your car, maybe this setup isn't for you. Maybe you want to go simpler and just run E85, and you know what? That's great. That's awesome for you. For me, I want the power on tap all the time, and I'm primarily running pump gas through this thing because where I live, E85 is not readily available. So you have to buy it by the barrel, or you have to drive an hour and a half away to get it at the pump. And that's just not feasible for me. So I chose to go with a two meth kits, a pure meth kit and a water methanol kit, and that provides all the octane that I need to run the boost pressure that I want. And the power is always on tap, and it makes the power of an E85 car. And that's my build. If you like this content, please hit like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.